Today's guest is Scott Gifis, CEO of Wyllo, formerly known as No Fraud. Scott has led and scaled multiple high growth companies such as Frame.io and AdRoll, and now he's rethinking how teams operate in a hybrid, globally distributed world while pushing the fraud and customer experience space in a completely new direction. We get into all of that and more in today's episode. Let's take a look. Welcome back to Makes Remote Work. Today's guest is Scott Gifis, the CEO of Wyllo, formerly known as No Fraud. Scott, welcome into the podcast here.
Hey, thanks, Sean. Glad to be here.
Yeah, happy to have you. Longtime Rome customer. Love getting to talk to you. Tell me a little bit about the company for those of you who may not be familiar with Wyllo, and also tell me about the new rebrand. This seems to come at a pretty perfect time as you just rebranded yesterday,
Yeah.
at least to the public here as Wyllo. So tell me a little bit about the company and the operations that you run.
Yeah. So, No Fraud started as a e-com fraud prevention company, started at payments like a lot of other players in the space. And that space has gotten pretty heavily commoditized. Candidly, we've been on a good trajectory for a long time, but we just felt in general like the market needed something bigger. It was just too narrow of a field. We ended up merging with a company called Yofi, which was a company that did similar type of work, detection and prevention of abuse and fraud, but after the checkout. So when we brought the two companies together, we kind of knew no fraud wasn't going to serve us. Our ambition is a much greater ambition. Essentially, we have two fundamental pieces of technology. One is we can understand an individual's body language, their digital body language. We can determine, if there's changes in that behavior, what does that mean in terms of their intention? And then the other thing that we do is because we're embedded in power a lot of different technologies from a risk and um, abuse sort of prevention perspective, we see all of these interactions at different touch points across the entire life cycle of a customer. And because of that, we're able to create these very specific, very contextually relevant recommendations or insights at every single interaction that brands have with their customers at different stages across the journey. It's really hard to do in today's world because it's so fragmented. But the more interesting stuff that we're starting to see and do is, well, what if we can help you understand that this is a really good customer, but they return at a really high rate? And so we can see that their intentions are good, but we know that the likelihood of them returning the product is much higher than other customers, which will make them unprofitable to you. That's probably something you don't even realize is happening. Those types of things weren't even possible a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah.
But in our mind, we just see a huge opportunity to unlock a lot of capability for CX leaders and really create these dynamic, personalized experiences for good customers, and then help you protect yourself from obviously bad customers or customers that are acting badly.
And real quickly, Wyllo, where does that name come from?
Yeah, Willow. I mean, it was inspired by the willow tree. Willow tree it's sort of known for being really, really strong but really flexible. So this bend not break kind of thing, which is kind of an interesting approach. Branches can grow. It has very deep roots, so it's embedded, pretty deeply. So it had all these attributes that we sort of thought about on our own.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, talk to me about your internal team here. You're in a hybrid environment, is that right? So you have some offices in New York City. Did I read this correctly? Chicago, Australia as well. Anywhere else?
We have people based in all those places. Actually, we have an office in Sao Paulo, and then that's essentially it. We used to
Got it.
have an office in New York City in One World Trade, beautiful office, but we were spending a fortune, and like 8 people periodically went there, and so I wound that down, and I mean, like a lot of companies that grew during the pandemic. I mean, we were so distributed that there was never a world in which we would all be in one place.
Now, you've led a lot of teams, a lot of different companies. Have you seen a measurable difference in output or quality between in-office teams and remote teams? That seems to be sort of like a highly debated topic. You have to be in the office versus not so much. Do you think that's like a myth, or what's your stance on that?
I do not believe you have to be in the office. I do believe you get a lot of value from bringing people together, but I think it's with intention. I think inevitably, Howard talks about this a lot too. Like, if you have any success at all, you're going to be distributed. My bias has always been get the best people in the world wherever they live. Um, and I would much rather solve for getting the best people and then figure out how to help everybody work well together than compromising on an individual because they live in a certain geography.
Yeah.
just that's always been my philosophy.
It's obviously a fundamental principle of our team as well.
No, I guess
Um,
it just look at this is like startup number 7 for me. And even when we had, big offices, we always had lots of small offices, satellites, because you just wanted talent. But the idea that you had to go to work every day, I mean, it's crazy. It's a symptom of a larger disease where people don't know how to communicate properly or manage properly across large and distributed teams. Like, so I mean, the thing I advocate so much about Rome is it changes the entire dynamic of how you can interact with people. That one later. Like I say this, like literally, I think there's a marketing thing of me from Rome about saying the same,
there is.
but I say this all the time. Like Zoom is the AOL of video conferencing. I don't know how else to describe it. I mean, it's just they nailed the Netflix problem, the bandwidth, all that stuff. I say this all the time, but they actually perpetuated this horrific way of working, not intentionally, because what we did is we took a technology. It was a better cloud-based WebEx, is essentially what Zoom is, and they did a great job on the tech. Right over time, that delta has become a lot less. And video conferencing is just one element, but it doesn't do anything to help people in different places work better together. And what it does is you're like, your days are stacked with meetings all day long. Then you're working late at night. You're never collaborating. You like have tons and tons of meetings, and just like meetings for no purpose at all.
Right. Well,
No,
because how else would you have them if without it, right? It's a great solution to a specific problem, but it doesn't really fit in with the way people work today, you know?
we atrophied productivity by enabling people to talk to each other with video. It's so counterintuitive, but it's so real. And so no, I mean, I've always hated those products. I mean, I remember even when I had offices, like when I was running AdRoll, I would go into the New York City office and I had my own conference room in that office. It was mine
Yeah.
because
Howard had that too.
because I was on fucking video calls. I'm sorry, I'm cursing now, but I was on these
No, we're
calls.
normal people. You can
Okay,
curse.
great. I was on these calls all day, like from like 8 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night in front of a thing. I had to like have food brought to me. Like and like, so what benefit did I get from being in the office?
Right. Yeah. And then today's day and age, it's like I have friends and coworkers who do it too. And, they just go to the office to sit on Zoom calls because that's just like the way it is. And to your point, as a team scales, you have offices all over the world. How do you make it feel like those people are under the same roof? It's really difficult to do that. And that's obviously part of like the foundation of Rome and like why it was even created, right?
Yeah,
Is to make it feel a little bit more natural for folks.
don't get me wrong. It is special when if you're solving a hard problem. You got a bunch of engineers sitting in a room, or you got a bunch of designers sitting in a room, and you're trying to solve a hard problem. It is nice to be able to get together and think about those things. But it's just not realistic to make that happen. And you always end up with these issues where people can't be there. And again, why is that the case? Well, it's largely the case because Zoom doesn't have any collaborative capability to it. I mean, they pretend they do, but they don't, right?
Yeah.
It's not built with the idea of like helping people in different places work together. It's built with the idea of how do I facilitate a video like a conversation. That's not that's this much of the work.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, I I agree, and I hear it too. I mean, as Rome gets bigger and bigger, these are the things that people talk about with me all the time. I'm one of the first people to talk to you when you set up your office, and then I onboard your team, and these things always come up.
I mean, I was one of the first folks to push Rome. Like I literally just forced it on everybody. People, by the way, revolted. Like people literally didn't understand the concept. I had to sort of like Rome is not software. Rome is literally a fundamentally different way to operate your company. It's like a 10x on how fast you can work with each other. Like velocity, just the pace of play is so much faster. In today's world, that's mission critical, right? But it's more than that. It's like the flexibility to do the work that has to be done when it has to be done. Go back to Zoom days, stacked with meetings, one-on-ones, God almighty, like one-on-ones, recurring meetings, crap. And so you had a decision you had to make right now. You had work you had to do right now with a bunch of people, and you would look on the calendar and you'd be like, well, I guess we can do it next month on the first Thursday of next month. It's like,
yeah,
no, it has to happen right now.
yeah,
Like, right fucking now. Cancel all the meetings. You can't find them. You don't know where they are. You go to their calendars, like, are they in the meeting? And then you're slacking them, but they don't hear you. It's just like, holy fucking shit. It's just like, it doesn't work.
And then you start to adjust your day to day based on the limitations of that system. That's
Exactly.
the whole thing. And the system's created for us, not the other way around.
Yeah, it perpetuates the whole culture. If there's something that requires, a lot of thought, a lot of consideration up front, yeah, of course we'll schedule some stuff here and there. But the way that you can do work today, like it should all happen in the moment.
And also the way technology is advanced too, it's like you have a record of everything now with AI note takers and, all of these different things at your fingertips. It's like if I'm in person, it's really hard to actually get a repository of that meeting or added, data on top of things. You have to, you know, you're at almost like a disadvantage. There's obviously advantages. Being in person is always a good thing. We're not anti in person for
Yeah, yeah.
everything. Like you said, meeting with intent is something that we do too, but there is a lot of advantages to being in that sort of environment where you can pop in, talk to people, have it recorded, know the action items that come out of it, all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, look, we literally we did this. We launched an entirely new platform, rebuilt the whole front end in 7 weeks.
If we were in Rome, I'd give you a bunch of emojis with the clapping
Yeah, exactly.
emoji.
I will tell you right now, we could not have done that without Rome. Literally couldn't have done it. I mean, the pace and the iteration that's required to make all that stuff work would not have happened without Rome. It just wouldn't.
That's great to hear. I mean, that makes us happy, and
No, it's good.
anything we can do to help facilitate that, sort of experience for teams is exactly why we exist. So
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
great.
and on the brand side, I mean, there was a ton of work that was done. It was funny actually. The agency that we worked with, and they were great, but they use Teams. And I told her, I was like, you got to get off. I can't be in this room. Like people don't appreciate it until but now the whole team is so used to Rome that when they're in anything else, they lose their minds because Rome is built to collab. I mean, this, but
Yeah.
like it's built for collaboration. Like I told them, I said to the whole company, I said, if we're working with anybody, they have to work in Rome. I will not work in other tools. They're just like lose cycles after cycles because you can't work fast enough. Just people don't appreciate it because they think about it as like a video conferencing tool until they actually experience it and are embedded in it. And then there's like no way to go back.
Well, this leads me to my final question here, a very short one. Describe Rome in 3 words. This one always hangs people up because they have to think about it for a quick sec.
Best software ever.
I like that. That I will sign off on that one. That sounds great to me. Well, Scott, look, thank you so much for the time here. Um, Genuinely appreciate you taking time out of your busy day. You just went through a rebrand and you took a half hour of your day to talk with me here. So thank you so much for that. Best of luck with everything that you're working on at Wyllo. It sounds awesome. We will obviously follow along. And for anybody listening, you want to hear more conversations just like this with leaders across the globe running their teams remotely, pop into the podcast here, like and subscribe. I will talk to you all soon. Scott, thanks again. Take care.
Big fan. See you. Bye.
Cool.